Hey there, so today I want to review Ravage, Cautionary Comics' freshman outing, and big props to Ben Henderson for taking the stage the way he has. He was one of those people that came out of nowhere, it felt like, with an exuberance to rectify the situation we're seeing within comics. How did he plan on doing that? Well, he wanted to bring escapism, and he wanted to bring fun back to the center stage, and while he was doing that, he wanted to surround himself with talent that was accomplished so he could do it and do it well. I think that this showcases that too, because when you look at the talent on board here, you have people like Chuck Dixon, and you can see that Chuck Dixon writing style through and through, whether it's in the storytelling and the pacing, whether it's in the actions and the interactions when it comes to characters and how they comport themselves, or whether that's in the experience itself, that shines through. I also think that there's a good, unique art style within this as well, and I think that it works, and it really harkens back to a certain type of storytelling that you might have seen in yesteryear. When I look at the characters and I look at them and the way that they're portrayed, I think that it works because the comic book, it doesn't take itself too seriously. It enjoys itself. It moves forward. And when you look at the way that it builds this character dynamic, you can actually understand that. It's believable to a point. So when characters, they get themselves in certain situations, you can say, yeah, I see and understand that. Now, Ravage, Kill All Men, if you've not heard anything about this, the description goes, 2 Army veterans crash in a mystical jungle populated by a lost tribe of toxic warrior women that hunt men, enslave them, and then kill them. They must escape, submit to survive, or die trying. Now, when again you look at that setup and you can imagine a Chuck Dixon telling that tale, it works out. And I have to say that I'd never heard of the artist before, with Jimbo and Brian taking the stage, but when looking at them, they did a good job with this. I think all of the elements, they interact well, they mesh together, and it tells an origin story that makes you want to move forward. It tells you essentially who these characters are, it tells you how they get to a certain place, and it showcases who these people are that they're going to be interacting with, those quote-unquote toxic warrior women. You can see exactly how they train, how they carry themselves, and with the characters, you can see how dismissive of that they are at first. I thought that was actually kind of interesting too, because we don't see those character archetypes anymore. These days, if you look at, say, a Marvel or a DC, they're actually afraid of showing what a bunch of guys might be like if they're loaded with testosterone. Those guys that you've seen in movies like, say, a Predator, and how they would interact if they happened across a tribe of warrior women. Of course, that dialogue there, again, it takes itself in a way that's not too serious. It's kind of funny, and you can see how dismissive these folks are at first, and you can see what kind of a problem that turns out for them. See, that's what I like about this. It takes that archetype, it pushes it in, but it's not going in and it's not rewarding that. In fact, quite the opposite. So you're talking about characters that, again, you could see in some real life situation. They find themselves in this, and they dig a hole for themselves. Now it's an interesting introduction, and I want to know more about what's going to go on. I'd like to see how it goes forward, and I hope Ben Henderson definitely gets to bring us more. It actually earned 245% of what it was originally asking for. This project, it earned $47,881, and we see Ben Henderson going through the motions, actually showing us what happens behind the scenes and on, and I think that that's great too. In fact, if you don't tune in to social media, you're missing out. That's one of the positive things I can say there. And he has gone in and he has surrounded himself with even more talent. So the next thing that you see, And the next thing after that, they will become progressively better. But anyhow, this is a comic that I say is definitely worth picking up. It harkens back to comics that were fun. This is escapism at its finest. And you can look at it and you can say, hey, it hits on all cylinders. So again, congratulations to Ben Henderson. I'm trying not to spoil the comic here. You'll see pictures here and there that you'll probably see in other reviews, but I want this to be a fun experience if people go out and they check it out. So if you get a chance to pick this up, if you get a chance to back it, definitely do so. Anyhow, leave your comments here, and thanks for listening.